Good morning. Welcome to a called meeting for the Jackson County Board of Education. Today is December the 13th. We have a few things that we'd like to review and discuss prior to voting. Dr. Howard, I'll turn it over to you right now for comments.
Okay, great. The first item is sort of just a formality. We've been blessed to be a strategic waiver school system now since 2015, and each year they give us new targets based on our outcomes, and this is something that's due in January, and I thought since we have these, if you don't mind, we would go ahead. You have there, it's the same contract, just adjusted baselines based on last year's performance, so you have that in there for your review. It's really not negotiable. It's one of those things that for us to continue our waiver status, we review this contract. So just a comment, our schools did well, our CCRPI scores increased, and so that helps us in terms of our upcoming targets, and so that's an approval. Item three, which is actually the second item for site development, I just want to remind our community and the board that this is helping us go forward in the construction of a new high school for the West Jackson community. I do want to say that we've talked about this quite a bit in the past couple of months. The progress has been a little slower than we had hoped, and part of the reason for that is the fact that when this property was purchased in 2012, the board recognized that it was a challenging piece of property in terms of development. It has quite a bit of topography change on it. As a due diligence, our board explored other properties for the possibility of a change in location. After due diligence and looking at that at this time, based on the board's decision, my understanding is that the goal is to proceed simply because of the price of other property in the area right now and the fact that the board purchased this property. I do want to say that this board reached out to oncoming board members to make sure that we had some clarity and understanding. So do any of our board members want to share conversations or communications that they have had with other board members that will be joining us in January?
Well, I think you were speaking. I
Sure.
can share.
Sure,
also.
I spoke with Bo Hollett through telephone text yesterday, and he is in support of moving forward, and he's in agreement that we have done the research and the things that you normally have to do, and through the procedure of proceeding on this land as is, and we trust the experts in those fields and think that we should definitely go ahead because it's not going to get cheaper and time is ticking and students are going to keep coming.
That is a true statement.
Well, and Bo shared basically the same thing with me, and he said, you know, Ms. Wheeler, if we were to try to look for some more property over there, he said, we're not going to find a better price. He said, even if we tried to do some more research. And he said the same thing to me that he shared with Selena, that it was important for us to go ahead and take care of the need with the extra growth.
Miss Anglin is here. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you're coming on board, and it's much like the conversations we've been having. We're in an exciting time in Jackson County, but we're also in a transitional time. So with the board change, we did feel like it was important to at least hear from our oncoming board members. So I don't know if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share.
I completely trust the group that's there. I think you guys have made great decisions, and I'm excited. I'm excited about going ahead and getting started, and let's do this thing.
Mr. Cronick or Mr. Bryan or Mr. Brooks, any feedback?
You know, as far as we've had this property for 5 years, and the whole entire community is excited about the idea of a school being placed in that particular area. The property we looked at was very close to that in proximity, and you know, it may have been a little bit better lay of land than what the Skelton Road property is, but the price is just not realistic as far as for us to move forward. So the College and Career Academy, the high school, possibly another elementary school or middle school is going to be needed. This particular property will allow for 3 schools on it. We bought this property at a steal when we bought it. To move forward, you know, right now I think that's as what Bo said. We've got experts that have looked at this. Ted, do you have any reservations at all as far as for this particular piece of property?
No, I really don't. As we looked at this, I saw the site as a beautiful site. It is challenging in terms of topography. But from day one, we've had experienced engineers working on it. And to my knowledge, nobody's ever expressed concern about that. It took us, we looked at a number of different options on that site as to where we locate athletic facilities, where we locate buildings. And I think we have maximized that with the current plan. Nobody to this point has expressed that, no, you just shouldn't do that. What you do is adapt to the site that you have and you make it work. If there was ever a point where, I'm sure our engineers, if they had reached a point where it was just not workable, they would have said so. But they didn't. I've worked on good sites, flat sites, hilly sites over the years, and sometimes you have to put more effort and more thought into how you do it. And in this case, we've done that for some months now. And it's a site that, as you said, will allow us 3 schools, elementary up on the front, middle school and high school on the Skelton side, and it's full athletic facility. So as I see it, and as I mentioned to the board the other night, we're prepared to move forward and I have no reservations.
We know that in any time if you've ever built a house, you know there are challenges. There's some hidden things that you find out along the way, that there may be some other expenses or whatever, to the point that, you know, I think we've had enough people look at this, and I think we pretty much are familiar with what we're gonna need to do. The main thing is, you know, that hinges of this whole thing is the bond passing. Regardless whether we proceed with this piece of property or whether we had bought another piece of property, it still all hinges upon the bond passing, regardless. So the understanding needs to be is, you know, to the community, that the bond is very important. It is essential that we get a pass vote on the bond in March. If not, we'll have to put the brakes on and go to Plan B until we secure other funds. We have $15 million in Splosh, enough to do the grading and site prep, and could start some facility there, but it's going to be a scaled back facility. So in order for all of this to take place, it is essential that we as citizens of Jackson County understand that the need is there. And I think we had made mention in the work session that the Citibank to come in and to re-explain how the bond payment cycle will take place. For 3 years, it'll be a little bit higher, and after that, it basically goes down to equal to or lower than what you're paying right now. So, and then it would be paid off at a very
2032.
In 2032, everything would be paid off. So essentially, it's a win-win situation there. But I think at this point, you know, even though that I'm going off the board, I'm a citizen of Jackson County. I thoroughly approve going forward with this as a board member, and as a citizen, I will do my best to help pass that bond.
I agree very much with Steve Bryant, what he said. I'm in full favor of going on with the school system, with the school. See why I put brakes on that, you know?
And I think I have talked to Mr. Clarence a couple of times, and I wish he was here to state his opinion. I'm not going to state his opinion for him, but he looks at it in a different light, I think. However, we do know we did explore that property. We explored some more. The price set was just out of our reach. It was just not to where we could afford it. I think we would probably all wish we could have made it work, but we didn't, and we couldn't. It is important that we do move forward. The only reservation that I have personally, like we said the other night, is I wish that we would delay the vote and let the new board vote on that. But I am in favor of moving forward after January, and just get the show on the road, because we're gonna need space quick.
Absolutely. And I did meet with Mr. Clarcy. Mr. Pat and I spent some time with Mr. Clarcy yesterday, who will be the board member that takes your district, Mr. Ryan. And, he has a background, and certainly a strong background in architecture and in construction, and he does have reservations about this property, and shared that yesterday. and for good reason that we're all aware of. I think we've mitigated those concerns through our process with architects. So certainly invited him here, and I know he's busy, but he declined to be able to be here today. So just feel like it's important that our entire community understand that, as Mr. Bryant said, this is a significant investment, but it's an investment in our students, in the future of our growth and the population that's coming. And Empower College and Career Center Board is exceptionally committed to investing in the repurposing of Jackson County High School. There's already a pretty significant capital effort campaign going on right now, and I think that there's a lot of excitement ahead. So by moving forward, 2021, school year 2020-2021 would be the opening for both of those facilities to be able to offer a broadened continuum of offerings for our students. So I am very grateful to this board, and honestly, most importantly, to Mr. Patton and to Mr. Gilbert and the folks who have worked very diligently over the past year to develop a plan that we feel like is best for the future of our school system. So thank you for your thoughtful reflection and not acting too quickly. Certainly, we've been ready to go on this for a while in terms of owning the property, as you said, for 5 years. So I take your recommendation, and if your recommendation is to proceed, then certainly we will proceed with that. The last item on the agenda for today is, this is just completely an oversight on our part. We had several drafts and we revised, but we missed one. This is the revised calendar, and it does include the correction that you had. So this is just a small tweak, but want to make sure that you are aware that our teachers have 190 school days. That's their work calendar, still 190, and our teachers, our teachers will have 12 planning days. Therefore, our students have 178 days. So that's one to clarify that with you. So if we could make sure that the appropriate, correct, absolute right calendar is approved, then Ms. Bridgman can go forward with getting it posted and published for our community. So those are the items, and unless there's any further discussion, I rest the conversation.
Any further discussion? What I'd like to do is to break out item 2 and item 4 and vote on those separately to item 3. If we could do that. Any objection to that?
No.
All right. Item 2 and item 4, I have a motion that we accept.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Item 3, recommendation for approval of Bowen & Watson contract for site development on the Skelton Road property. We have a motion that we accept.
So moved.
And a second? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.